Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the launch of the Coalition for Action on Healthy Diets from Sustainable Food Systems for Children and All. My name is Abigail Perry. I'm the Director of the Nutrition Division at the World Food Programme, and I'm delighted to be facilitating and moderating this very exciting session that we have today to launch the Coalition. It's absolutely fundamental that we really look at how to ensure we achieve healthy diets from sustainable food systems. And this will require us to take multi-sectoral and multi-stakeholder action. So commitment and investment in this particular topic is more important than ever to achieve healthy, prosperous and stable societies as we move forward. So before we dive into our agenda that we have today, I first just want to note a couple of housekeeping points. So the event is being recorded and webcasted. The event language is in English, but we do have French, Spanish, Arabic, Russian, and Chinese interpretation. If you have any questions throughout the session, please do post these in the Q&A function in the Zoom webinar platform. And please flag any concerns around audio or visual in the chat. We'll be responding to any questions in writing back to those who asked them, rather than having a live Q&A session. But we do want to hear any questions that you have as we go through. Just to note, we have a slight amendment to our agenda today. So we're very grateful that the National Director of Health Promotion of Ecuador, Ms. Wendy Marianela Campoverde Pabon, is going to be joining us today very kindly. So we will have a slightly adjusted agenda as we move forward. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over for opening remarks to Ms. Beth Bechtel, who's the Deputy Director General for the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. So Beth, over to you for your opening remarks.
Thank you so much, Abigail. And let me just say thank you to the entire core team who has been a part of bringing this coalition to life, for giving me the opportunity to help kick off today's event. Excellencies, distinguished participants, colleagues, and friends, I'm really pleased to be able to join all of you today for this very important event that very disappointingly and sadly comes during what is a truly tumultuous time for the world. As a global community, we set ourselves a very ambitious but achievable target in 2015 when we agreed to accomplish the Sustainable Development Goals, the 2030 Agenda. But even well before the COVID-19 pandemic, we were sadly already off track to end hunger and malnutrition in all of its forms by that deadline. Together with the wholly game-changing situation that affected every person, every business on this planet, there is now war in Ukraine, which is making reaching this goal even more challenging, but all the more essential. In 2022, hunger is on the rise. Undernutrition still affects millions, especially children, adolescent girls and women, and overweight and obesity are growing problems. No country is free from malnutrition. Conflict, climate variability, and economic downturns are the main external drivers impacting our food systems and undermining healthy diets, food security, and nutrition. But there are also internal drivers, such as low productivity and other inefficiencies that push up the cost of nutritious foods. So levels of inequality are high and they are persistent. What does all of this mean? What does it all equate to? The result is that there are 3 billion people around the world that cannot afford healthy diets. Let me say it one more time. 3 billion people for whom eating in a healthy way is completely out of reach. So what can we do? The tough lessons of the past 2 years have reminded us of our personal interconnectedness, how seemingly unrelated issues are really part of the same whole, and how by coming together, we can face even the biggest challenges and strive for a better future. For healthy diets to be accessible to everyone, we need to work collectively on policy and action in food supply chains. We need a true systems approach if we are to find durable and sustainable solutions. And that, I am confident, is the change that this coalition can help bring. The Coalition of Action on Healthy Diets from Sustainable Food Systems for Children and All was announced as part of the UN Food Systems Summit last fall. Described as a coalition of the willing, it includes stakeholders from across food systems who are indeed willing to commit to collective action for all people to have access to healthy diets coming from sustainable food systems. I'm really inspired by how many partners have already come forward with such passion for this shared vision for a world where all people are nourished through healthy diets. A vision that puts the health of people and the planet at the center. Today, we are going to hear the work plan for the coalition that turns this aspirational vision into action. It will harness expertise from the wide range of partners that are a part of this coalition to mobilize coordinated action on healthy diets from sustainable food systems, to give countries the opportunity to share and learn from one another, and to manage special projects that integrate nutrition, health, and sustainability through food. I can tell you that I personally am incredibly excited about the potential that this coalition brings, and I'm really looking forward to hearing much more about it today. I congratulate everyone on the commitment to our fellow people and the planet itself. We are demonstrating our commitments, our shared priorities through these actions and by engaging with this coalition. Abigail, back over to you.
Many thanks, Beth, for those very inspiring opening words. I'm delighted now to introduce Dr. Zuzana Jakab, who is the Deputy Director General of the World Health Organization. Dr. Jakab, over to you. Dr. Jakab, you are on mute.
Actually, can you hear me now?
We can. Perfect.
Yeah. So thank you, Abigail, for giving me the floor. Excellencies, distinguished participants, dear colleagues and friends. It is really an honor to join you today for this exciting launch. The vision and collaborative nature of the Coalition of Action for Healthy Diets from Sustainable Food Systems for All comes at a critical time. The COVID-19 pandemic, the prolonged conflicts, the war in Ukraine, and the ever-growing impacts of climate change have brought a global awareness to this intimate and delicate relationship that exists between people, health, food, and the planet. Without action, our food systems will continue to make us ill, compounding these challenges and threatening our very future. And without collaboration and a unified approach, our efforts will remain fragmented, diluting their impact and failing to deliver on urgent needs. The call for healthy diets from sustainable food systems demanded by young people and echoed throughout the United Nations Food Systems Summit and is reflected in countries' national pathways for food system transformation as the loudest #1 priority for action. The World Health Organization, along with many of our partners, listened to this call and we collectively took action. Together, a core group of stakeholders established this coalition, which is uniting global actors to harness momentum and support national level impact for better, healthier, and more sustainable diets. Each actor and country bring their own starting point, their own expertise, and their own pathway, but all unite behind the shared vision of healthy diets from sustainable food systems for all. Through such collaboration, we can move towards action on healthy diets and sustainable food systems and leave behind instrumental debates. We enjoy taking this journey together with our partners and our member states, as together we can do more and better than alone. WHO is proud to support this coalition of action and aims to continue taking a leading role within its governance, agenda setting, and action. The work plans are done. We are now kicking off to improve how we grow, harvest, process, transport, market, consume, and dispose of food. We commit to collaborate and bring in our expertise in support of the coalition's work plan to provide guidance on policies to transform the food system and to promote healthy diets, as well as on how to engage safely and constructively with non-state actors. I now pass the mic back to Abigail Perry, and I look forward to hearing from the coalition's member states today. Back to you, Abigail. Thank you.
Many thanks, Dr. Jakob. So again, without further ado, I'm very pleased to be able to hand straight over to Her Excellency Dr. Leah Tadesse, who is from the Ministry of Health in Ethiopia, with Ethiopia as one of the real front-runner countries looking at the actions that could be taken to support healthy diets through the coalition. Dr. Tadesse, over to you.
Thank you very much, Abigail, and greetings, Excellencies, distinguished guests. It's truly a great pleasure and an honor to be with you today at this launching event of the Coalition of Action for Healthy Diets. And very happy to be here to share our experience as Ethiopia. The government of Ethiopia has a diverse policy environment that is relevant to food system transformation. We went through several consultation procedures with a variety of stakeholders over the last 2 years to identify the significant obstacles of food system transformation and came up with actionable, sustainable, and scalable actions that will assist us to transform the food systems. We sustained our commitment for food system transformation during the high-level roundtable discussion, the initial one, and subsequent national dialogues, and also the UN Food System Summit and the Nutrition for Growth Summit in 2021. Currently, we're finalizing the costing of the Ethiopian food system transformation roadmap, which has 22 selected game-changing solutions categorized in 6 clusters led by different sectors. At this stage, I would like to share the contextual challenge why we needed the food system transformation and promote healthier diets to our citizens. While much progress has been made as a country on increasing staple cereal production, productivity levels are still very low, and diversification to provide more nutrient foods like fruits and vegetables has been very limited. And poor diets, low nutrient contents results from low diet diversity and inadequate consumption of animal source foods, fruits and vegetables are the past causes of multiple forms of malnutrition, including the high rate of stunting that we still have as a country, which is also compounded by problems like conflict and droughts. Over 80% of Ethiopian households are unable to afford healthy and nutrient-dense foods. In addition to the burden of undernutrition and micronutrient deficiencies, we are also facing increasing diet-related and non-communicable diseases as emerging challenges, particularly among the urban population. The low diet diversity, food safety concerns, and unhealthy trends of salt and sugar intake could explain the rising trade of NCDs in Ethiopia. For this reason, we take a healthy diet-centered approach informed by the need to deliver better nutrition. We recognize that this requires aligned partnerships across all food system actors who can use sustainable healthy diets as a desired common outcome of food system transformation within the broader SDG, which focuses on people, prosperity, partnerships, planet, and peace. This healthy diet-centered approach is informed by the guiding principles as outlined in our food system transformation background paper, which includes delivering nutrient-dense and healthy, affordable diets, environment sustainability and resilience across the entire food system, economic development and poverty reduction, and effective partnership with local and international donors and partners, private sector, research and academic institution, and of course the community. To achieve this, we have already started implementing the game-changing solutions that we have indicated in the food system transformation pathway. And one good example to share is the launch of the first food-based dietary guideline that last March 2022, which is among the identified game-changing solutions. The Ethiopian food-based national dietary guideline was developed based on evidence-based finding for improved nutrition literacy and diet quality, characterized by increased diversity of safe, nutritious foods in the appropriate amount, but also suitable for local food culture. It aims to reduce malnutrition and diet-related public health problems of the country through promoting healthy diet among different population groups by providing dietary recommendation for Ethiopian population 2 years and older. Our National Public Health Institute, which is a technical arm for the ministry, has coordinated this development of the guideline jointly with the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Education and different nutrition partners. And this guideline has 5 sections and provides practical dietary advice through 11 key messages designed to foster improved dietary patterns and public nutrition literacy. As we implement this guideline contextualization to pastoralist settings and pilot testing at community level, we look forward to partnering with the Coalition of Action for Healthy Diets through technical cooperation, capacity building, and sharing of expertise. As a front-runner country in the Coalition of Action for Healthy Diets, we are also making preparations to contextualize and launch the Healthy Diet Coalition to the country level, and your support in this regard is much appreciated. We're highly committed to Healthy Diet Coalition partnership and will sustain our active participation in the global diet quality engagement. As I conclude, I call upon all stakeholders to galvanize their commitment to support the Coalition of Actions and work together to achieve healthy diets for sustainable food systems for all. And I do look forward to a productive deliberation. Thank you so much.
Many thanks, Dr. Tedesse. That was an incredibly important summary of where Ethiopia is going on this. I'm now going to hand over to colleagues to play a short video on the Healthy Diets Coalition. So colleagues, please press play on our video.
I want to eat well to make me strong and healthy while not hurting our planet.
A world where healthy diets are affordable and accessible, valued and appealing to everyone, from our youngest children and adolescents to adult women and men.
Where safe, nutritious food is produced in ways that nourish our planet.
Today, millions of people die from unhealthy diets and fall ill every year from unsafe food. Over 3 billion cannot afford a healthy diet.
Our food systems account for approximately 29% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And they drive roughly 80% of deforestation, 70% of biodiversity loss on land, and 50% in freshwater.
We must act to change this. FAO supports the Coalition for Healthy Diets from Sustainable Food Systems. It aligns with our joint vision of transforming to more efficient, sustainable, inclusive, and resilient agri-food systems.
The Coalition will support countries in achieving both human health and environmental sustainability goals. A real win-win for people, climate, and nature.
Governments and institutions, UN agencies, communities, businesses, and people of all ages are already doing so much to achieve these goals.
And there are many more opportunities to improve our food supply, our food environments.
And to inspire and empower people to value food as part of their local cultures. Governments have already voiced their support for action through adopting the voluntary guidelines on food systems and nutrition at the Committee on World Food Security.
There is a role for everyone, but we need to coordinate better and scale up action.
We will help all actors from across your food systems to pull in the same direction to ensure actions are aligned and more impactful.
The coalition will provide support on addressing all forms of malnutrition in country roadmaps sustainably.
The collective efforts of the coalition will advance data, evidence and innovation for new approaches towards our shared vision.
The coalition will provide a space where everyone can learn from each other, helping each other do more and do better.
As a global movement of young citizens, the achievement of healthy diets from sustainable food systems for all is our #1 priority.
We want to see action now. We cannot afford to wait. Lives and futures depend on our unified, courageous actions today.
Join us and let's make a healthy future for people and the planet together possible.
Well, I think hopefully the remarks so far have really given us a sense of the importance and the value and the role of the Healthy Diets Coalition moving forward. So I'm now very pleased to be able to hand over to one of the world's experts on food systems and healthy diets, Dr. Corinna Hawkes, who is the Director of the Centre of Food Policy at City University of London, who is representing the Coalition's core group to run through the work plan that we've set out. So Dr. Corinna Hawkes, over to you.
Thank you very much, Abby. Excellencies, distinguished participants, colleagues and friends, it's a real pleasure to be here today to give a brief introduction to the work plan that we have planned at the Coalition of Action, which I'll be doing in the next few minutes. Now, we know that attaining healthy diets for all from sustainable food systems is a challenge, and the Honourable Minister already indicated that. That means it requires a broad coalition of stakeholders to align efforts at all levels across all sectors. But complex as it is, we also know that achieving healthy diets from sustainable food systems is a very exciting proposition because it has such enormous potential, such enormous power to help achieve the Sustainable Development Goals as a triple duty action addressing undernutrition, diet-related disease, and the environmental impact of food production, as well as other SDGs as well. Thus, that leads to the shared vision, which has already been shared with you today, a world where all people are eating healthy diets from sustainable food systems as part of the bigger agenda of achieving the SDGs. And what that means is increasing the diversity of people's diets all around the world as appropriate for local cultures and contexts. It means increasing the consumption of foods which are produced sustainably to support climate, soil, water, biodiversity, and nature overall. But it also means that we're going to have to limit the consumption of certain foods and drinks where appropriate among high consuming groups. Moving on to the next slide. What will the coalition do to achieve this? Where is the gap? What value do we add by being a global coalition? Well, again, this has already been indicated. It's about aligning, mobilizing, and creating coherence across the actions that are being taken. And it's critical that that's coherent across the food system. So that means it has to be about making changes in the food supply, everything from land and the inputs into food production up into the food environments that surround people in their everyday lives. And so it's about making healthy, nutritious food available, affordable, and appealing to people in their food environments. And it's about encouraging and motivating citizens, people, to value food so that they want to eat well, they want to eat healthily, and they want to acquire food from sustainable sources. So what is the membership of the coalition? The coalition was formed as part of the process of the UN Food Systems Summit. So the coalition was developed by the 5 action track organisations, academic partners from where I come, as well as the UN agencies. And we've been very excited as well by the enthusiasm by so many countries who have been part of the establishing the coalition and have built gradually over time. And that is continuing to build along with the European Commission. And as was already indicated, this is a coalition of countries who are really committed, and you heard that from the remarks from Ethiopia. So it's a coalition of people who are aligning around that vision. And it's supported currently by an interim secretariat made up of the organisational members. So what will we do? On the next slide, we list out the main areas of action, the 3 strategic objectives, if you like, and they emerged from the development, from the concept note that initiated the coalition and a review of country priorities, and we've converted those into actions. And I'll go through them briefly now. On the next slide, if I could move to the next slide, thank you. The first function is to mobilize and coordinate action. We know that there's a lot of action already going on, and it's very, very exciting to see that. We also know that that action is quite fragmented across governments, but also across food system stakeholders. It's also vital that the process of support that is provided by the coalition is country-led. So to mobilize and coordinate action, that will be done at the country level by really trying to understand what the priority problems are at the country level, many of which are set out already in the food systems transformation pathways, as you heard from Ethiopia. So once we've understood what those priority problems are, we can begin to identify what's already going on and build on that. We're not starting at the very beginning. There's a foundation on which to build. But all of those people who are involved, as I said, are not yet fully aligned. They're still fragmented. So there's a great opportunity to develop a shared agenda about who can do what, to build on and align existing actions and ensure that those actions are mutually reinforcing across the system. And that's what we talk about when we're talking about a systems approach. But we don't necessarily need to say a systems approach. We can just say an effective way of solving problems and coming up solutions collectively for collective impact. And function 2 on the next slide is also a fundamental part of that, because this is about facilitating peer-to-peer learning across the globe. That will be demand-based, again, led by the concerns that country have. Matching based on interest and expertise, and to do that will facilitate policy dialogues to advance progress. There's so much to be learned between countries and so much opportunity, so much unleveraged opportunity, that it will be important for the coalition to host and support that kind of peer-to-peer learning. And thirdly, on the next slide, we will conduct special projects. And that's because we are concerned about health and sustainability. But because action is so often not sufficiently coordinated, these things often exist in silos. So we're finding windows of opportunity where we can bring those together. And there's 4 initial areas that we'll be working on, and 2 in particular, which I'll give a little bit more detail about. On the next slide, the first special project is about integrating healthy and sustainable food consumption into nationally determined contributions as part of the process of addressing climate change and part of the COP process. So the idea is to develop concrete guidelines and carry out advocacy to make sure that healthy diets from sustainable food systems and food loss and waste are part of the process, are integrated into these nationally determined contributions, in order that we can both reduce greenhouse gas emissions while also supporting healthy diets. Another exciting special project is about integrating, which is listed on the next slide, is about integrating sustainability into food-based dietary guidelines, which are largely currently focused on nutrition and health alone. And as for the previous one, this is about pulling together and pooling existing efforts that are being made in this area to make sure that they work more effectively and efficiently together. The final point it's important to make is that we know that this is a complex space and there's many stakeholders involved with different interests and different perspectives. Because of that, we have to acknowledge there is a risk of perceived and real conflicts of interest. Now, we are all aligned behind a shared agenda, but we know that clarity helps in understanding the terms of engagement with the coalition. For that reason, principles of engagement are currently being developed to ensure that the coalition is trusted, is legitimate and credible. And these are currently being developed and will be shared soon. The coalition is also establishing a stakeholder forum where entities and individuals can submit their interest to receive regular updates on the coalition's work. So do please take note of the registration email. I hope this has served well to briefly introduce you to the exciting work to come by the coalition. Thank you.
Many thanks, Corinna, for condensing such a complex process in such a succinct way. We're now going to be hearing from the voices of 3 front-runner countries to really start to unpack what this means from their perspective in terms of action, interest and expected impact to the coalition. So I'm delighted to hand first to His Excellency Anders Nordström, who is the Ambassador for Global Health in the UN Policy Department at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Sweden. His Excellency, Your Excellency, Anders, over to you.
No, thank you very much, and please, I'm Anders. Delighted also to come after Corinne, because I think we recognize ourselves, colleagues of me who are joining me here from Sweden today, in many of the things that you have outlined here in your talk. So Sweden is delighted to be part of this important launch today of the Coalition on Healthy Diets. And we would like to thank the Secretariat for organizing this event and all the hard work that has gone into this. Of course, just to say a couple of words up front before saying a couple of words in terms of what we are doing in Sweden and how we are committed to this work. Food has, of course, the potential to change not just access to healthy food, but people's health and also the health of our planet. We will not be able to fix the 1.5 goal for the climate unless we fix also our food systems, and we cannot improve people's health. People's health is not just about COVID. People's health are deeply and in major ways influenced also in terms of whether we have access to healthy diets or not. We need food for action and not food for thoughts now. From the Swedish perspective, also recognizing that populations who are less well off from a socioeconomic point of view are generally more at risk. And we see now trends that are going in the wrong direction. This is valid for Sweden, but also across the world. And what we see now coming out of the Ukraine situation is making this situation even worse for the people most at risk and without the necessary safety nets. Sweden firmly believe in this systems approach for sustainable food, and it's many of us say that many times, and we are committed to it. But still, governments are working in silos. People are working in sectors, and we need a serious move from a sector approach to a systems approach to address food production, consumption, and to reduce food waste. Let me also say that goals and indicators matters. There, it's important that we know what we would like to achieve. As I said, what we're doing in terms of food is important for our climate, but also for people's health. But if we can't measure, we will not be able to move in the right direction and actually to improve the situation. In Sweden, there are many ongoing efforts. We are bringing together actors from different sectors, from different parts of society to see how we can improve diets in a sustainable matters. One concrete example is that the government has tasked the Swedish Food Agency and the Swedish or the Public Health Agency of Sweden now to develop, as I was saying, goals and indicators for more sustainable and healthy food consumptions in Sweden. And we're delighted also now to be able to join the workshop that the coalition has initiated to share experiences across countries how we can do this in a better way. Our expectations is that the coalition can become an important instrument for advancing now national pathways as they came out also of the Global Health the Sustainable Food Summit. Swedish actors are interacting across sectors, and we are looking forward to continue to act with other countries to exchange experiences. And from the Swedish side, we are both interested to learn, but of course to contribute and provide our support. Coordination and messages across sectors, aligning between different stakeholders is critical here. And we believe, as Corinne was saying, that the coalition has an important role to play here, but also the Food Systems Coordination Hub, now again that came out of the summit, are important ways of ensuring that we get more coherent, aligned and effective actions across the world. Sweden is delighted to be here today, and we're delighted to continue to be engaged and to provide our support for this extremely important work in coalition. Thank you so much.
Many thanks, Anders. So I'm now going to hand over to Ms. Karima Ahmed Al-Hadar, who is from the Ministry of Planning and International Cooperation in Yemen, and who has without doubt been a strong voice and champion of healthy diets and nutrition in Yemen for a number of years now. So I'm delighted that we are joined by Dr. Karima. Over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having Yemen on this very important event. Actually, in Yemen and during our national food system dialogues last year, one of the urgent priority actions was to form this national working group for healthy diets for children and all. So it is our commitment to link this national effort to the similar global and to ensure the mutual benefits and interests of both levels. Also to be an active member of the coalition, support the peer-to-peer learning, support the implementation of the coalition work plan, and as well attract more support for our national efforts. The priority actions need to focus on here in Yemen is to build and rehabilitate the national systems by strengthening the infrastructure, information, communication, coordination, and learning platforms. To also promote access to nutritious and healthy food, especially for the most vulnerable groups of the society, such as women as mothers, and also adolescent, children, and elderly. Also promoting food safety along the value chain of food systems from seed to fork, promoting national public policies and strategies to strengthen food control and interventions. Another thing also is to promote effective integration and coordination through strategic partnerships between the government and local.
I'm conscious that Dr. Karima was working with a fairly limited bandwidth. As we have lost her, my suggestion is that we now move to Ms. Wendy Marianella Campoverde Pabon, who's the National Director of Health Promotion in Ecuador. And if Dr. Karima comes back online, we'll see if we're able to hear from her. So Wendy, are you with us with some
apologies? Can you hear me?
Karima, are you back with us?
Yes, apologies. So I was speaking of our interest in the coalition. The work we have, the working group in Yemen has this mission to change towards healthy and sustainable diet. It is also to represent it represents like a nucleus for global and regional commitment and partnerships with similar and relevant working groups at regional and global levels. So we hope that the coalition will support our working groups and
Okay, I know I'm very conscious that I really want us to hear from Dr. Karima, but I'm also conscious that we have quite a lot of other people to hear from. So if colleagues on the line could maybe send a message to Dr. Karima that we will move to the colleague from Ecuador. And then if we're able to capture the final points from Dr. Karima, we'll try to do so. Apologies, we're on a fairly tight schedule and I want to hear from all. So yes, so Wendy, as I've noted, you are the National Director of Health Promotion in Ecuador. Delighted that you are able to join us today. Over to you.
Muchísimas gracias. Un fuerte saludo y abrazo a todos. Como Ecuador compartimos esa emoción de poder participar en el tema de la coalición. Reciban principalmente un cordial saludo a los organizadores que han promovido esta coalición. Agradecemos de esta apertura brindada para la intervención. Es importante señalar el gran hito que hemos alcanzado al formar parte de esta coalición de acción para dietas saludables en sistemas alimentarios sostenibles para niños, niñas y en general para todos. Recalco nuestro compromiso como Ministerio de Salud Pública, instancia delegada para este organismo, para promover acciones en el marco de una alimentación y una nutrición adecuada. Las acciones prioritarias que hemos realizado como Ecuador proponen en el contexto de dietas saludables, de sistemas alimentarios sostenibles para este año 2022. Se enmarcan en una política pública que se ha establecido como país, cuyos objetivos tienen desarrollar prácticas alimentarias más sanas en nuestra población y extender esto a nuestras familias y a nuestras comunidades. Una de las acciones prioritarias que hemos planteado es la alimentación escolar saludable como parte de sistemas alimentarios sostenibles. Desde abril del 2020, las niñas y niños y adolescentes en edad escolar de nuestro país se encuentran amparados por una ley orgánica de alimentación escolar, la cual les garantiza su derecho a la alimentación y a la nutrición de manera sostenible a través de una planificación, implementación y monitoreo de modalidades viables en la alimentación escolar. La diversidad de modalidades de nuestro territorio que nosotros tenemos en Ecuador promueve la inclusión de alimentos naturales, frescos, variados, considerando la interculturalidad que tenemos como país en nuestra dinámica en la economía local, en la agricultura familiar, e incorpora procesos de veeduría, de participación y corresponsabilidad permanentes con la comunidad educativa y con nuestros diversos sectores. Los escolares necesitan una buena dieta para crecer, para desarrollarse, protegerse de las enfermedades y tener la energía para estudiar, para aprender y ser físicamente activos. En esta etapa los niños comienzan a salir de sus hogares para integrarse a estos espacios escolares y como Ecuador hemos visto que es la mejor manera dentro de la alimentación escolar y dentro del aprendizaje, el descubrimiento y la adquisición de buenos hábitos. La alimentación es sumamente importante en estos momentos de la vida, ya que aporta los nutrientes necesarios para crecer y tiene un impacto sobre el desarrollo del cerebro y el rendimiento escolar. Los programas y la política escolar son coherentes y claves para lograr el derecho de los humanos, de los niños y niñas a la alimentación, a la educación y a la salud. Adicionalmente, se considera que la educación alimentaria nutricional cumple un rol fundamental para generar la adopción de patrones alimentarios saludables en la población. Razón por la cual el accionar de campañas educomunicacionales para la promoción de las dietas saludables es una propuesta que como país nos hemos centrado y nos hemos focalizado. Nos interesa que sean consideradas como unas acciones primordiales en el desarrollo de esta coalición, partiendo que nuestro enfoque es educar a la población sobre el consumo de alimentos. Es importante centrarnos a nivel mundial en la importancia de las dietas saludables, a través de sistemas alimentarios que sean sostenibles desde la producción, el acceso y el consumo de alimentos en los diferentes entornos alimentarios, permitiéndonos la valoración de los alimentos para cambiar nuestras conductas alimentarias. Finalmente, debo recalcar la importancia de una alimentación saludable y nutritiva en todos los ciclos de vida, como mecanismo para incidir en la disminución de la malnutrición por déficit y también el exceso, como es el sobrepeso y la obesidad. Razón por la cual es fundamental que nuestros esfuerzos sean encaminados en generar alimentos saludables, partiendo de 4 puntos fundamentales: el fomento de la promoción y la protección a la lactancia a través de las estrategias que garanticen estas prácticas en un entorno familiar, pero también en el laboral. La formación de hábitos saludables en la primera infancia a través de las sesiones educativas en el marco de la prevención y de la promoción en la salud. Entornos escolares que garanticen una educación alimentaria nutricional. Y finalmente, regulaciones a alimentos procesados respecto al etiquetado nutricional y acciones para la protección de la publicidad para los niños, niñas y adolescentes. Concluyo y anhelo que se consolide esta propuesta de la coalición y poder compartir también nuestras experiencias como Ecuador. Nos prometemos estar en este accionar conjunto de manera participativa, activa, como Estado miembro, teniendo en cuenta nuestro principal objetivo, que es garantizar una verdadera calidad de vida en la población. Muchas gracias.
Many thanks, Andy, for those important reflections. So I'm going to keep moving this on. I'm conscious that Dr. Krimmer is back online, but I'm also conscious we have other speakers who are we really want to hear from. So we'll find a way to make sure that the comments from Dr. Krimmer are reflected through this process. But I will move us on. So I think we can all agree that in this challenge around food systems and healthy diets, the people that it's going to matter to most are the younger people in our world. So I'm delighted that we are joined today by Ms. Lana Weigenen, apologies for mangling your surname, who is the youth representative from the Zero Hour Movement and who also served as the youth vice chair for the UN Food Systems Summit in 2021. So Lana, I'm delighted to hand over to you.
Hello, and thank you for joining us in the launch today. My name is Lana, and I am a youth advocate in food systems and climate action, including with Youngo, the youth constituency of UN climate change, with Food at COP, the youth campaign for healthy, sustainable diets, and with ProVeg International. Last year, it became clear the large priority from youth on healthy and sustainable diets. In the process leading up to the UN Food Systems Summit, healthy, sustainable diets was the youth food systems priority that was most strongly raised in those months. And that priority for healthy, sustainable diets was raised from young people once again around COP26 later last year. The actions that were called for from youth emphasizing this topic have been for 5 items. 1, for the inclusion of healthy and sustainable diets at upcoming global conferences and negotiations, including for this year, the UNFCCC Intersessionals in Stockholm +50 next month, as well as COP27 later in the year. We have emphasized this with a strong focus on developing a global approach to measuring progress on healthy and sustainable diets. The second action is that governments should promote the scaling of agroecological production of health-promoting foods through agricultural subsidies. 3, that governments and businesses should include commitments and strategies on healthy, sustainable diets at the heart of their 1.5-degree climate and nature commitments. 4, that governments and businesses and academia should adopt frameworks that use true cost accounting or true value of food and measure agricultural success according to the nutrients produced rather than just the calories and yield of food. And 5, that governments and businesses should invest in sustainable future foods, including alternative proteins, while ensuring a just transition so that workers' rights and livelihoods are protected. Overall, our message and our priority on healthy, sustainable diets as youth has been and still is for plant-rich diets. Our statement is that fundamentally we want to encourage a transition to plant-rich diets because they are essential for meeting both health and environmental goals and contribute to increased food security with using resources to produce nutritious foods more directly for human consumption. For us, plant-rich diets is the key for healthy, sustainable diets within planetary boundaries. As far as the coalition, I am very excited to be here today. After 2 years of the UN Food Systems Summit process, that we are able to come together and make this coalition come to life on a critical youth priority of healthy, sustainable diets is a success already. I'm excited for the stakeholders who have made it possible for us to be here at launch day today, and also for everyone who is tuning in here with us for the first time. It is critical that we are working alongside member states, which is an important aspect of this coalition, and that we are here with a common understanding of taking action, because that is exactly what we need to do. And I know that we can do that in partnership while remaining bold, transformative, science-based, uplifting youth priorities and rooted in a just, equitable, and plant-rich future, because youth movements have shown that it is possible. So let's launch forward today and together and make action happen. Thank you so much for having me here.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Lana. I think we now have our clear marching orders there in terms of our direction of travel. I'm now very pleased to be able to hand over to Dr. Stefanos Fotiou, who is the Director of the Office of Sustainable Development Goals and Head of the UN Food Systems Coordination Hub, to talk about how this launch today fits in the broader work and progress and action from the Food Systems Summit. So Dr. Stefanos, over to you.
Thank you very much, Abigail. I'm very pleased to come after the youth. It means that the middle age is coming after the youth, and that's the right thing. And thank you very much for inviting me to this meeting. What I've heard here today, the last 45 minutes, I would say that it's music to the ears to someone that it's in charge of putting together the UN Food Systems Coordination Hub. I think this coalition showcases actually what should be the right approach to support the follow-up to the Food Systems Summit. I have 5 points that I would like to share with you as what I've listened today. I want to comment on the institutional structure of the coalition. It was extremely important to see Ms. Bechter and Ms. Zakab, the high-level representatives from FAO, WHO, and you, Abigail, from WFP, on how the UN agencies are supporting this. And I think the presence of Her Excellency Minister Gemer as a front-runner country is what we also believe that in the hub it should be done with the coalitions. The coalitions should serve the country, as the hub is also here to serve the countries, and to do this with the collective ecosystem of support. I was very much impressed by the work program that Professor Hawkes has presented, and I think it's extremely important to highlight that your focus on the special project is a very good one, because the coalition should work I think on specific issues, and the issues that you have outlined are extremely important. You mentioned peer learning as another key function, and I think the peer learning is an area that there's going to be a lot of work between the coalitions and the hub. As you know, we already had a first touch point between the coalitions and the hub on 1st of May, and we are organizing now a much longer workshop between the coalitions and the hub to find out what we can do together. And we need to find out, because as Ambassador Nordstrom mentioned, we need to focus more on coordination. There are many coordinating bodies at the country, at the regional, at the global level, and something that we feel from the hub as our responsibility is to bring more coherence in this coordination. I would like also to highlight that as we are moving from the Food Systems Summit to the stock-taking moment of 2023, all of us, we will need thinking both at the long term of how the coalitions and the work of the hub will support the 2030 agenda, but at the same time, what we would like to present in the stock-taking moment of 2023. So I would encourage the coalitions and all the ecosystem of support, when you are doing the work planning, when you are doing your milestones, to put the stock-taking moment of 2023 as a big milestone. As I said, and let me close here, the hub will provide a platform for the coalitions, not only to connect between them, but to connect the coalitions with all the national conveners. We would like to provide also a common, to co-design a common framework for monitoring and evaluation going to the 2023 stock-taking moment. And we will be very pleased as the hub to collect main messages that the coalitions would like to present to the forums that the hub will be presenting, that the high-level political forum on sustainable development, even the regional fora and other events. I thank you very much, and I look forward to working a lot with this and the other coalitions. Thank you.
Many thanks, Dr. Stefanos. No, I am very lucky as a moderator today because I get to hand over the concluding remarks and next steps to someone else. I don't have to do that part. So I'm delighted that Dr. Brent Loken, who is the Global Food Lead Scientist with the World Wildlife Fund, has offered to take on the challenge of setting out where we go next from here. So Brent, over to you for next steps.
Thank you very much, Abby. You've been an absolutely tremendous moderator, keeping us on track with a very extremely tight schedule. And Nancy and colleagues for the tremendous organization of this launch that we have seen today. It's been a truly fantastic event. It's been a long journey over the past year, but in less than a year, here is where we've gotten. We've made absolutely tremendous progress, and I look forward to seeing where we are next year at this time. Some high-level takeaways. Well, if you've been watching the chat, you can see the incredible global nature of this launch. People have joined from all over the world. That's humbling. Second, we find ourselves in unprecedented times, and we need a true food systems approach to actually tackle it. Third, there is a strong interest from various member states. Without member states, it will be hard to put this into action. Fourth, there are several ways that you can engage within this coalition. You can meet the coalition where you are. Fifth, and I love this saying, we need food for action, not food for thought. And lastly, youth are key to the success. And diets are a main action priority for youth. Last week, I had the honor of moderating the World Food Summit, which was held in Denmark. And nearly every single speaker emphasized the fact that time is running short and we need to act now. David Beasley highlighted the absolute historic nature of the next 5 years. Now, with everything happening in the world right now, we may feel a bit dismayed, but it's now that we have to turn this dismay into action. And diets are a critical lever for turning many of these challenges into actionable solutions. As Chef Jose Andres said, we need longer tables, not higher walls. And I can think of no better group than this group that we have right here to do just that. But for this coalition to be successful, it will take each one of us doing our part. Whatever individual skill or action that you can bring, please bring it. If you're a parent, politician, athlete, actor, painter, or chef, please continue to push us, to push this coalition, to challenge, and to be bold. The world needs you. And as our event comes to a close today, I would like to thank every single one of you for your active participation during this meeting and for playing a key role in advancing this incredibly important agenda. We encourage each one of you to reach out if you have an interest or if you have any questions about the work that we are doing. This is especially important for the NDC work that we're doing because COP27 is coming very close. We have a number of things that will be coming up, and you can reach out if you have any questions about those. Peer-to-peer forums and also webinars. On behalf of this group, I would like to thank each one of you for your time. Time is running short, and we look forward to working with each one of you to ensure healthy diets from sustainable food systems for every children and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks
all.
all.
Stefanos. Thank you,
Thanks to all.
Brent.
Thanks to all.
Thank you, Anders. Muchas gracias, señora
Thank you.
Wendy.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.